Hey, everybody, welcome to Cinema Gulp. I'm Ben. I'm here with Scotty R37 of the Fantasmagorium show. Sir,
Cheers.
cheers. And, just like last year, Scotty, right around the same time, we did the 25th anniversary of Con Air. Seemed fitting this year to do a 25th anniversary of Armageddon,
It is.
arguably one of the most unique action movies ever made for various reasons. Scotty, this is a film to me that I feel, even though it was 9 years later, this is the movie that really landed him Transformers. I think they went back to this one because if you look at specifically the New York opening asteroid attack scene, the way the camera moves and the way it shows geographically where everything's happening in these large scale city landscape shots. And again, in this movie, this is the first movie of Michael Bay where the camera never stops. And I know that's from there, that became his aesthetic moving forward. I think this is the movie that kind of
I
solidified his style.
I certainly Armageddon and Bad Boys.
Mm-hmm.
Probably arguably Bad Boys too.
Bad Boys has his thing now with the hero shot that they make
Mm.
fun of a lot, you know.
And it's yes, this looks like a Michael Bay movie, but this I don't know. There's a thing about when you have a young director who is still trying to prove himself. And I think Armageddon is Michael Bay just saying, I can do this. I'm confident. It's still kind of risky. Like
Yeah.
in even in his casting, it was risky because he brought up a lot of indie actors to surround a megastar like Bruce Willis, which he was. And bless Bruce Willis, by the way. But I just think that it does reek of Michael Bay and classic Michael Bay. If it gave him Transformers, good, because I'm sure the house that it bought him looks great. I'm not a Transformers
Oh, me
fan.
neither. I've never even seen them, but it just seems,
Well, it is appropriate because if you want a director who can make dynamic action and make drama into action, and I think that this is a great representation of that. Even with the much maligned Pearl Harbor, I think that Michael Bay can make emotion exciting. He knows how to like pull at your heart with incredible visuals, action, and beautiful people.
yeah. It's funny to say this nowadays, but considering the landscape we're in with film now, like Michael Bay does have heart, specifically this movie. And I think that's one of the things I really took away from this movie when I saw it. And let's talk about our first times watching it. I did
Mm.
see it in the theater. I really was taken by it. I just felt it was exciting and fun and heartfelt. And it even, you like the character so much that it's even sad in certain points, after seeing it, some guy did show up. My buddy showed up who was in LA and he had a VHS bootleg of it where people used to take those VHS camcorders and sit in the front row and just shoot the movie in the theater. And we watched it.
Like
And the
Kramer from
bottom of
Seinfeld.
the bottom of the screen was bowed to where everyone had like a Jay Leno chin because of the angle it was shot. The first time you see Liv Tyler go, "Hey Harry," she looked like that Moon character that used to be on the fucking McDonald's commercial, just a huge giant
Yeah,
chin. It was so funny.
the Big Mac guy.
The Big
The
Mac
movie.
guy, yeah.
First time that I saw it in theater myself as well. I think opening weekend. And it was great. It was the heyday of me going to movies every week. And this was a blockbuster. I think I saw this the day after I saw Godzilla.
Yeah, that's right. Same summer. But there's even an in joke in this movie making fun of the fact that they wanted to beat Godzilla, and I think they did.
I think they did as well.
Yeah, Godzilla was not a big hit.
But I did see it, and if it wasn't the day after, then it was just during that summer. And so I really enjoyed it. I thought that this was a great, uh, self-serious, but not like it wasn't melodramatic. It was not silly at the time. I took it earnestly. I thought it was a great movie. When I watched it, I was like, that is awesome.
I think like cultural impact of it. I mean, people talk about it a lot today. People have a lot of respect for it nowadays because of the
Mhm.
way it was made and because of how it flies by and it just has a lot of fun and the characters are The characters are really tweaked to be very individual characters with interesting personalities and specific skill sets and lots to do. But I do think that Aerosmith song was probably the biggest thing about the movie at the time. It was a fucking massive song.
This CD was in every car that I got into after the soundtrack was released.
And the whole soundtrack's good. I actually got it. Yeah, it's got some cool songs on there.
Yeah. Oh, I think it's one of those. I think it's a classic soundtrack, and it is a very Aerosmith heavy soundtrack. Like, what do they got? Obviously, Don't Want to Miss a Thing. Sweet Emotion is in there.
Yeah, and there's a new Bon Jovi song if everyone cares about that. But there's a new Bon Jovi song. Yeah, there's a couple.
And you get Chantel Kreviazuk singing Leaving on a Jet Plane.
Yeah. And the Trevor Rabin score was fucking so good at the time. Like I just ate that shit up because it was like heroic and epic and exciting. And it had that guitar that was just becoming that big thing. You know, it had a lot of the Con Air type of sound to it.
Well, and I was kind of thinking Top Gun. It was like, wah, no, 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 no.
Top Gun too. Yeah, very good. Yeah.
And it was, but again, there is something about crafting a movie that can manipulate you emotionally. Like, let's be honest, when you go and you sit down, you want to feel feelings. That's what movies do. And Armageddon does it so perfectly and succinctly with stereotypes and archetypes. It's amazing. I love it. I think it is an unabashed piece of entertainment that was one of the last great blockbusters.
It is exactly what a blockbuster is supposed to be. You know, it's not an IP. It's just got big stars, up and coming star Ben Affleck, Liv Tyler, like up and comers, Owen Wilson, up and comer. Then you got nobodies who people hadn't heard of yet, like Michael Clark Duncan. This is really his big, his big kind of opening showcase of his unfortunately short career. And then of course Bruce Willis and fucking Billy Bob Thornton's so good in this, like
Jason Isaacs.
Yeah,
yeah. You know what? Big shout out to Judith Hoag. I know two of my favorite movies with Judith Hoag: Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and Armageddon.
The other really big thing about this movie was Deep Impact. Yes. Another movie where to be honest with you, I don't really compare them as much as other people do because they're very different movies. One is about the people on the ground, and the other is about the people up trying to destroy the asteroid. Yes, there's an asteroid scene in Deep Impact, but it's really lame and it's really short. And Jon Favreau gets blown out into space.
Yeah, but like it's a similar thing. It's almost like I don't want to say one is the GoBot of the other. Like I think that Deep Impact is Armageddon as a novelization by John Grisham.
Maybe, yeah.
Like it is about what would happen to the people who knew that this was happening in Deep Impact.
Yeah.
And it's a much longer period of time for Deep Impact.
Yeah. The 18-day countdown.
18-day countdown. Yeah, it's kind of crazy.
I think you'd see it coming before then, but
well, and the thing is that right off the hop, Harry is in the South Sea, South China Sea, and it takes 16 hours or 18 hours to get across. And Billy Bob Thornton is like, we have 18 days, and it's like you had 18 days 16 hours ago.
Yeah, dude, he just shows up in fucking Houston or whatever, like immediately. Yeah, that's something I always think about the timetable of this. They would never give those dudes a night off to go party and get shit faced the night before the launch. No fucking way.
We want hungover astronauts.
Yeah. Oh shit, they all landed in jail. This is fun. Yeah. But I mean, I was always a bigger fan of this than Deep Impact just because
this
moves a little slow. Yeah. I mean, I do appreciate that movie for what it is. It's a drama with some spy stuff in it, and some mystery and stuff like that. But for the most part, it's a drama, and Tia Leone's really great in it too. And so is Robert
Tia Leone is just great.
Yeah, good cast. Both of them got fucking excellent casts.
Mm-hmm.
But only one of them has Morgan Freeman.
Let's
get into the movie. So what do you think about the narrative opening? The narration from someone who's not a part of the movie kind of shows up out of nowhere and does the intro. It happened before, it will happen again.
I do like it.
I like it too.
And also it being Chuck Heston, it gives that voice of God kind of thing. Before
Yeah.
before Morgan Freeman was God, Chuck Heston was Moses. So if he wants to announce the end of the world the first time and say it will happen again, I'll take his word for it.
Yeah, fair enough. What do you think about the kind of little CGI Earth blowing up? I mean, I guess it shows us what we need to see, right? It kind of sets up the catastrophic event that is potentially going to happen in the movie.
Yes. This is the introduction of our primary antagonist, the destruction of the Earth,
Yeah.
which I like. There's no real villains in this movie.
No, well, no, not really. I mean, you have Keith David, who I guess kind of comes around. He's not a villain at all. He just has a difference of protocol, what he has to do. But he does pose that threat to the team. So if you were going to say there was one, it was probably him.
And I would attribute it to bureaucracy as opposed to Keith David.
Yeah, no, absolutely. He's just the face. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
you're absolutely right though. But this movie, God, like as it starts, and look how fast this flies. Like here's the opening, and this team up there like doing whatever the fuck they're doing. You get introduced to Truman right away and how poised he is and
Mm-hmm.
zen he is of a guy for the most part. He always keeps his cool. He kind of makes the audience kind of calm down a little bit because this movie's so manic. He's like, I'll give you a buffalo nickel if you just calm down a little bit. Yeah, and like this guy's kind of freaking out already. Little does he know what's going to happen to him.
But you're absolutely correct. Billy Bob Thornton is the guy who is our anchor. When he's there, he knows what's going on, and every decision he makes is usually the right one.
Little tiny fragments just like blow up whatever fucking shuttle that was, and
Mm-hmm.
and now you're just off to the races. Like Jason Isaacs comes in and goes like, "Hey, we're fucked. We got 18 days."
And everyone on Earth is destroyed. They
Yeah.
think it's
And look at these.
a
Look at these typical Bruckheimer colors that him and Tony Scott really,
yep.
really set up. Like those beautiful oranges and sunsets. Like Michael Bay really took that stuff from Tony Scott. I'm sure he was fine with it, but that was that Tony Scott look, that filter.
Well, and it's also just, in Michael Bay came up from advertising, and blue and orange are complementary colors. They've become very like they're on every movie poster, blue and orange.
Okay, so then we get
It's Eddie Griffin.
it is Eddie Griffin. But even this small little moment, like I love, like he's funny. And then he fights with the big Samoan guy. And that's where you see the Godzilla joke where the dog starts
Yes.
eating the Godzilla. But see these shots, like how the buildings look, and it's just showing you the massive city. And like, see, look at the camera. And fucking never, okay, it'll sit still for like a half a second.
Yeah. Oh, everything is dynamic about this. Everything is moving.
There's the Godzilla. Yeah, get the fuck off my Godzilla.
I don't even think it's fair. I'm never gonna get drunk if I play a drinking game where the camera isn't moving.
Okay, so now this is a really cool scene because they just use the CGI so sparingly.
Oh, but I think that this is incredible just based on the practical effects.
That's
There's
what I
D.L.
mean. Well,
Hughley. Is that
no,
D.L.
no,
Hughley?
no, dude, that's Hanging with Mr. Cooper.
Hanging with Mr.
I
Cooper.
can't
I'm
remember his
such a
name,
racist.
but look at all the stereotype in this one cab. You got the two Asian people that are like, "Oh, we
Oh, yeah,
want
yeah,
to
yeah.
see movie."
I want to go shopping.
No, I agree with you. Special or the practical is what counts the most. I just mean like the brief CGI moments are done perfectly because everyone was still in that school of Spielberg and Jurassic Park of just like brief moments when you don't have to do it, don't do it. Because Michael Bay would be so bored with CGI. Like he loves blowing shit up.
Yeah, but then he made the Transformers movies, which
Yeah, no,
are animated.
Yeah, those are paychecks.
I think that people who are Michael Bay fans look at the Transformers era of Michael Bay the same way that James Cameron fans look at James Cameron making Avatar movies.
Yeah, that's a perfect comparison. And this movie is so violent. So violent. I mean, violent in the sense that so many people die.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I don't think there's any blood in the movie. It's just like
isn't Paris wiped out later?
Paris is wiped out in a really cool
wiped
shot.
out. It is an
Completely
amazing
cool
shot. But what is the population of Paris? Look at that.
No!
Oh my God. You got to clip
towers
that. Oh, the Twin
burning.
Towers. You know what?
I'm
Asteroids
surprised they
don't
never
melt
took
metal
that out.
beams.
I still have a VHS of this movie.
I have the DVD. I don't have the Blu-ray, but after watching it on DVD, I do want it on Blu-ray now.
So the guy that like discovers the asteroid
Scotty.
is hilarious.
Yes.
He's
Get
like,
the
I want to
book.
name this Dottie after my wife because she's a soulless, life-sucking bitch where there is no escape. Go get my phone book. He's like some retired he's not a NASA guy, some retired something, but he's got a shitload of
He's
money.
former Navy.
Wow, I didn't make that kind of money.
This is one of my okay. Hang on a second. The president in this movie is one of my favorite movie presidents. He has been president in another.
He was president in The Rock.
Yes.
Yeah.
So there you go. The Michael
Same
Bay
universe.
cinematic universe.
Yeah, you can always tell his voice and his line delivery as president's the same.
Do you think that they happened chronologically in the Rock universe? Is that like they were going to blow up Alcatraz and there was an asteroid? Same president, same guy. You
I think
actually
the
believe
timeline makes sense. I think The Rock occurred.
there's no crossover actors.
No, I think The Rock occurred in 1996, and I think 2 years later an asteroid came, and so now we're introduced to our band of misfits. It's so good. What a great introduction to Bruce Willis. Like, so good. He's having a blast with this movie, you can tell.
I was reading on the IMDb trivia thing, and so take it with whatever you want. But it was like Bruce Willis did not approve of Michael Bay's directing style and vowed never to work with him again.
Oh, well, he says that about everybody he works with, pretty much.
But
you're probably right. You're probably right.
He's so vibrant in this movie. He does have a character.
Yeah.
Like, I really appreciate him as being presented as the self-made man with, he's a brilliant man, but he's also a stubborn worker who
ultra protective father. Yeah,
sure,
always wants to do the right thing and does.
Tough love.
Yeah. He's not John McClane. He's a totally different guy. He's this character, and I like him. He's got flaws, and he's a little unsure of things sometimes. Yeah, he's great. He's a great character. I like Harry Stamper. Harry Stamper's cool.
He is.
In the pantheon of Bruce Willis characters, he's a good one. And now we got Ben Affleck, who is just a piece of shit in this movie. I mean, he's not bad. I just mean he's just like so irritating.
But again, it's part of the appeal of this movie for like the indie actors that were brought up.
Good Will Hunting's kind of what landed him a bunch of shit like this. I think he wanted to jump into that action star thing quicker than Matt Damon did. Matt Damon stayed doing stuff like Talented Mr. Ripley and Saving Private Ryan, where Ben Affleck was like, fuck it, man, I got the meal ticket, I'm gone.
Yeah.
I'm doing action movies until I can't do them anymore, and good for him.
Yes. Thank you for Daredevil, Ben Affleck.
If you've ever watched the Ben Affleck commentary on this movie, it's one of the best commentaries of all time. It's so goddamn funny.
It's available on the Criterion.
You can tell he's just sitting on his couch drinking beer because he's getting more and more buzzed and just talking so much shit, but witty shit.
I asked Michael why it was easier to train oil drillers to become astronauts than it was to train astronauts to become oil drillers, and he told me to shut the fuck up. I need my guys. Why do you need them? They're the best. Everyone's the best. Why are they the best? I don't know. They just are. I mean, this is a little bit of a logic stretch, let's face it. They don't know jack about drilling. How hard can it be? Aim the drill at the ground and turn it on.
But yeah, this whole opening sequence where Harry's chasing AJ, and then you meet Will Patton, you meet Chick, you meet Bear, you meet Rock M, you meet all the heavy hitters that are going to be part of it. And it's such a great character introduction to all of these guys. And you feel the family dynamic just while he's walking around this oil.
Well, even during this, isn't there they have a conversation, like Grace starts saying to Harry, when we start entertaining the foreign investors, that's when she says that Rockhound assisted her in, learning how to use a tampon.
Yeah. All that.
And all of this stuff is just, walk and talk exposition, but it's also character driven based on this conflict. Like, it moves around at a logical pace and an emotional through line, but it's all just rolling as quickly as let's go. And if you can keep up with this movie, it is a roller coaster. But you got to pay attention.
How it's paced. I love how it's paced because it does have a couple of moments where it settles down, but not after. Once they're out into space, it never settles down. But it does the quick cutting right. Like a lot of movies do it where you're like, God, I'm getting a headache from this. I like the way this movie does it.
It's a dialogue movie, which I enjoy.
I love this first idea. He's like, come on, you fucking morons. Like, what is this thing? I don't even know what that's supposed to do. But yeah, then we get Jason Isaacs, who's the man with the plan. And we never really see him much again after kind of this opening bit. Maybe
I was paying attention throughout. He is throughout.
He's in the background and stuff a lot, but he doesn't have many big moments after his first discovery. Yeah. Look at more stereotype.
And what year is this?
98.
Yeah. So I don't know if is this stereotypical?
Well, when they go, hey, I think just the over exaggerated kind of goofiness of the language barrier, is kind of, but I mean, to me, it's fine. Like I'm kind of taking it as how somebody would see it now. That's like 20 years old.
You're probably right.
Want to bitch about it. We meet everybody. I don't think we ever get an introduction to Noonan, who is literally the throwaway character of the crew. He's kind of like the black sheep of the crew where he's probably going to die,
No, not probably.
Yeah, he's going to die because they don't give him, but even his tiny little character, they give him something,
They give him, I was surprised because when I saw him, I was like, I don't know anything about you. I don't remember anything from watching this movie the 5 times that I have before.
Yeah, his few lines show that he's kind of a tough guy. He's definitely a ladies' man. The ladies' man thing is apparent, but even in the strip club, he's like, hey, Pinhead, find your own party. He can probably fight. But yeah, he doesn't get a lot. He's just very loyal. He's one of the first guys. He's like, I'm not going to let you go up there alone. You're like, all right. He's not a big character, but again, he's something.
And upon this rewatch, I sort of paid attention. And yeah, he does have a bigger character, but he's just not played by a star. Like, he's surrounded by stars. He does fade into the background, but he's a solid character. So if you're watching Armageddon again, pay attention to Nunes.
I guess this is a good thing, like that they
struck oil.
Yeah, but I thought like they had an oil rig there. I just figured they knew they were going to get oil. That's why the thing's there, right? But I guess not.
That's the hope, I assume. They just have to drill for it. The drilling is the dangerous part, and it's been all messed up because of AJ and turning it up to 1100 or whatever.
But how good is it, though? We get 20 minutes with these characters before they're introduced into the situation. It's not just like somebody picks up a phone, there's a close-up of a phone, and then a hand picks it up, and it tracks up to the face, and it's like, hey, Harry Snapper, I hear you're the best oil driller. Okay, I'll be right there. It gives you like a day in the life of these guys first,
Yes.
Yeah, and that's great because it gives you a little bit of their skill set, and that again, they work together, but AJ's a little hot doggish.
So we're in the South China Sea.
A gross ongoing joke of Rockham that he dates underage girls.
Yeah,
about that.
I don't know. Would I call his character's weird? It's
him and Oscar. Rockham and Oscar are competing for scene stealer of the movie. I think Oscar is a more likable character because he's not sleazy. He's just very. This is when I really started paying attention to Owen Wilson in this movie because he was magnetic in this movie and the little bits that he gets. He's just really funny and everything bounces off him so well. The serious situations, all that shit. Like he's just on point. And you could tell he was going to be something.
Yeah, I think it was this and Tenenbaums that was like, Owen Wilson, yay.
18 hours later or whatever is at NASA. So that's okay, they do acknowledge it, 15 days. And I love how they have to put them in flight suits, I guess because they have no other clothes because they immediately had to get on a helicopter and go across the world.
Makes sense.
Yeah, here's your big expository dialogue scene that's really well done by Billy Bob. Look at those a lot of close-up shots of just how unnerving the whole situation is, like it's fucking great. God, I'm really blowing this movie, but rewatch.
Well, there's no reason not to.
Yeah.
Like, again, it's an engaging film from start to finish. And then they introduce, and it showcases the friendships and how things are going. It's a professional. One of my favorite things when I watch this is a science fiction movie, no matter how outlandish the science fiction may be. But my favorite science fiction is when it's about people doing jobs.
Yeah. Well, that's probably why you like Star Trek so much.
Yeah. But this is a bunch of people. This is a science fiction mission. This is a story of one mission to stop an asteroid from destroying the Earth.
And everyone has a specific skill set on the team.
And they have a character and a personality, which I adore.
Yeah, it's great. Like Max is clearly the more seasoned driller than AJ. I like Max too. Dude,
He was on Herman's head.
He was on Herman's. I was just about to say that. Yeah, he was on Herman's head. He was in a lot of shit in the 80s as the fat guy in high school and stuff. So this is where the movie gets really fun when they bring it in, and you get kind of a bigger introduction to everybody because they go, they tell you who everyone is because they're trying to find them around the globe and stuff, like these guys spread out. Like I love Come Get Papa Bear. That's so fucking great.
Well, and this is the thing is when you watch that's why I love Michael Bay movies from this era is that they got a bunch of police cars. They got a guy on a motorcycle and a helicopter, and then they shot it.
Yeah.
Like that's incredible. It's physical. It's exactly what they did.
All just for that scene. All just for
nothing. A throwaway joke.
Throwaway joke, and they did all that shit. I'm telling you, Michael Bay loves the toys. Any opportunity to get up in a helo, and Michael Bay's in this movie, by the way. He's in the beginning when the NASA guys are running around trying to figure out what's going on. He's there.
Also, Shawnee Smith is in this movie.
There she is, man. Shawnee Smith. That's John's biggest 80s crush.
Well, she's very attractive here.
She's definitely very attractive here. She doesn't age. It's interesting how all of these guys, within that one day have gotten back to wherever it is they're from and are just having a nice leisurely day. It all happens so fast. Yeah, Chick's just hanging out in Vegas. Yeah. Chick's a great character too. It's a classic Will Patton character,
Will Patton usually plays a sleaze.
Well, I mean, he's done the sidekick thing before in other Bruckheimer stuff too. Like 2 years after this, he does a similar role in Gone in 60 Seconds, and he plays a sheriff a lot. Yeah, but you're right, he plays a sleaze a lot too.
Who directed Gone in 60 Seconds? Was that Michael Bay?
Dominique Senna.
We should do that next year.
I love that movie. Well, that's 2000, so it'd have to be.
We gotta wait.
Yeah, I have to wait 2 years, but I like that movie a lot. It's a good guilty pleasure. Actually, it's not a guilty pleasure. It's a good movie. But so AJ all of a sudden within one day has a new oil business in one day, or did he already have that? Like, I don't get this scene at all. He should have just went to a hotel room where AJ was in the hotel room. Why does AJ have an oil business after he got fired 24 hours later? I'm trying to figure out how that's possible.
Literally, he has 18 days. And he's taken 2 days to get his own.
Yeah, and he's even going, how's your own business going, AJ? Well, I make my own hours. What? Like, this should literally be your second stepping foot on this job.
Harry does say when he's taken away by the military, he says, get him paid and get him off the rig.
Yeah.
Because I assume once they've drilled, now they can just
and they probably all got a shitload of money for it too.
Right. Yeah, but still, in less than a day, he signed papers and bought an oil drilling business in, I would assume, Texas.
That's what I'm saying. And he's not only that, he's working it. Like it's already up and running.
Yeah, it's pumping oil. He gets to make his own hours since yesterday.
And no one shoots him in the leg.
No one shoots him in the leg.
See, there's Noonan going hey, man, I got your back, yo. I got your back. But this scene's so good, where they're all in there and they're hearing about it for the first time, and they're all just of course I'm going to do it. Of course, it's the fate of the world. These guys, none of these guys are pussies, not at all. Rock M ends up getting space dementia, so he gets a little weird, but none of them are scared. I mean, they're scared, obviously. I mean, taking off on a shuttle would make you shit your pants, but
I'd rather go in a shuttle than go in a submarine.
Look, this is a great scene, and this is probably where you learn the most about Noonan, where they're like, what do you want in return? I remember this being a big selling point when this movie first was being advertised, that people were like, oh, it's funny because what would you ask for in return from the government if you went off and saved the world? And that became a big discussion. If this movie came out today, you'd see them on YouTube videos talking about that and stuff. But Noonan wants these two hot chicks to be brought into the United States with no questions asked and with green cards or whatever. And I'm like, okay, we know a little bit about him right there. He likes the ladies. And Chick just asks for Caesar's Palace tickets and
Emperor's class.
Bear wants to stay at the White House. I would never want to do that, but okay.
For a week. Or no, for a summer.
And then I think Oscar has 100 speeding tickets or something that he wants wiped clean. And Oh yeah, and I think it's Rock M who says this is the one that I would ask for first. We never pay taxes again ever.
Yeah. And
Universal
that was
health
the big one.
care, never pay taxes again, and yeah, and make a
What would-
movie about me where I get residuals.
What would you? That's what you would ask for. That's what you want for
Oh, I don't
saving
know.
the
I'd
earth.
really have to think about. I wouldn't ask for anything.
You
but
know what I do? You know what I do if they ask me to blow up a rock in space? 2 chicks at the same time, man.
2 chicks at the same time, man.
Yeah, I bet you the government could make that happen. I don't know. I don't think I would ask for anything. Like your reward is that you get to live, like but they whatever they would offer, I wouldn't turn it down, but I'd feel weird like asking for something like a mercenary or something. It's like, hey, if I have the skill set to do it, I should just do it. This scene's hilarious, fun character stuff. I remember the theater just erupting in laughter at this whole long scene.
Well, Ellen Cleghorn. Is that Ellen Cleghorn?
Like a pork riding this motherfucker.
Yeah.
Bear, he's getting up and just like that guy was gigantic. He was huge. Michael Clark Duncan. Oh yeah, this part. Yeah, is that his name?
And then Udo Kier.
Is that this guy?
Yes.
Guy from Blade? Yeah. You learn that Rock M is like a genius. I never knew initially if he was bullshitting or if he really was, but he taught at MIT and yeah, I mean, I guess like this scene right here is where you really see the seasoned actors just destroying the younger guys in some of these moments. But like Buscemi and Will Patton are just like so good in these reactions, and like Ben Affleck's just kind of like, whatever. I don't know. Like maybe it was just the writing, but
I think he's consistent with his character. He's a cocky asshole.
No, he is.
We're supposed to.
He is. He's a young cocky asshole. You're right. And then we get our introduction to Michael. What's his name? David Fichtner.
Yeah, it is Fichtner.
Is it David or Michael?
I thought it was Michael.
It might be Michael Fichtner. Michael or David Fichtner.
Mister. We'll call him Mr. Fichtner. But I'll look it up.
He's great in this, and I love it. He's the one that goes, talk about the wrong stuff.
William Fichtner.
I think it's David Fichtner.
I think it's William Fichtner.
Oh, it's William Fichtner. Yeah, that's it. Yeah. And he went on to do a lot of Michael Bay shit.
Yes.
Ninja Turtle, all kinds of shit.
He was a bank manager in The Dark Knight.
Oh, he was great in that scene, man. Where he's just like, you know who you're fucking with? I mean, he stands out in everything. And this was the first time I remember ever seeing him in something. I know he was probably in stuff before it, but when the oil drillers meet the crew of astronauts, they're going to, she's hot.
Yes.
She's really hot.
Watts,
yeah. Watts.
I don't know the name of the actress.
I don't either, but she's got amazing eyes.
She does.
This is where you get your little AJ as a fucking dickhead. Like, if you want to remove him from your team, do it now, because he's just whatever.
Because he's a dickhead.
He's a dickhead. Oh, dude. And then we get the armadillos. Like, to me, I looked at that thing. I'm like, this is so ludicrous, but I love it at the same time.
Well, and that's one of the strengths of the movie is that even these scenes, like, they're not filler. They come back to what are the capabilities of these vehicles that they are sort of engineering on the fly.
Yeah.
To make this thing happen. And so I like it. It is unbelievable. It's a science fiction disaster movie, ladies and gentlemen. It's not necessarily a documentary. And so, but it is something that it's like NASA can take any engineering schematic that has been put in the patent office, whether it's in the patent office or not, and they can take that and use it for their own devices without informing the person who holds the patent.
And this movie is pre even the fucking Star Wars prequels. So it's such a good reference when you throw a Star Wars reference in a movie like this back in 1998. Because there was zero bad blood yet, nothing but love for 3 movies. So when Oscar and AJ say like, who's Han, and who, like, you just love that scene because back then it was just those 3 perfect movies. But there was nobody hated any of them, to my knowledge. So it was such a good, like, nowadays you're never gonna get Star Wars references like that, because now what do you say? Oh, who's Rey? Who's Pin or whatever? Like,
have you even seen Star Wars?
Have you even seen Star Wars? Yeah, look at Watts's eyes are just like magnetic. They're fucking great.
Well, and she's an authoritative brunette who is small in stature, and I find that attractive. Later on in the movie, when she's in the space shuttle, she wears a t-shirt.
And
she's a very attractive
she's very
woman,
hard.
but
She's very hardcore. She knows what she's doing.
Yeah.
She's
I like
written-
authoritative, diminutive brunettes.
I just love the comedic value of like showing. He's like, this is not to scale, so keep the joking to a minimum. Because he knows these guys by now that they're just a bunch of clowns, you know. And then when he talks about slingshotting around the moon or whatever, or around whatever the fuck that is, that looks
That's
like
the moon.
It looks like Endor.
It
A
is.
slingshot around Endor to get on the rock. I do love the scene where they're in the jets. That's
Yes.
one thing. That's one thing when I was in the military. I wish at one point I thought I was slated to get a ride in an F-14 because of what I did in the military, but it never happened. God, that's one of the biggest things I wish I could have gotten to do when I was in the military was be in the rear of a fighter jet and just have them fucking just do crazy shit. I got so close, but it never happened. So when you see that scene, you know, where they're just like, we're gonna fucking punch you guys through fucking zero gravity. We're just gonna wrap you till your bones hurt. Like I love that shit.
Well, but it's also, I know it's sort of a throwaway scene of just making reactions from our cast. But like that was an actual thing that they filmed, and it is sort of equitable or equatable.
So are you saying that's the first Top Gun Maverick 2 Top Gun where they or Top Gun Maverick?
I'm saying I have always liked action movies that film things practically. And when I watch Armageddon, it's ridiculous to say, but I'm just like, I can't believe how much of this is real.
If you look and see how they built the set of the asteroid, it's crazy. I mean, and granted, they didn't have to shoot a lot, or they didn't have to build a lot because so much of it takes place in one like primary location, but it's an amazing stage.
Absolutely. And considering that the camera never stopped moving, so you didn't notice the background went before at the beginning of the movie, when you get to the asteroid and everything is still moving, it's like, well, everything's been moving this entire time. None of this is strange.
So some of the stuff that when it happens, you feel like you don't care about, like AJ and Grace getting engaged. It seems at the moment like it's just throwaway, boring stuff, but it really comes back to be like a big part of the movie at the end. You know, decisions are made because of this. So as much as I think it's kind of cheesy, and you know, as we said, there's not a lot of melodramatic shit in this. This is kind of just, I don't know, the way it's kind of in there is like presented kind of goofy, but it doesn't bring down the movie at all. So then we get to AJ kind of fucking up one of the ops because he's a dickhead, and they decide,
he's more brash.
Yeah. He's just, you even see him kind of throw up his arms when they come out of the water and stuff. But they let him, for some reason, go have a night out to party. And Rockham and Noonan and Max get in a lot of trouble at a strip club and go to prison or go to jail. And Chick somehow travels to wherever he needs to travel to that night to go see his ex-wife and kid. I'm assuming they just lived around the corner from NASA. He's just walking down the street and it's like, oh, you know, I just wanted to tell you I'm heading out tomorrow. And it's like, how did you get there?
Like once we got to the continental United States in this movie, they could pretty much move anywhere they wanted to within 2 hours.
Yeah, even though it shows them all leaving in like black trucks at the exact same time.
Yeah.
So these two make the most sensible decision. AJ and Grace just go out into like a field by by NASA, and like he stuffs animal crackers in her panties.
This doesn't work. If you are hitting on a lady, do not bring snack foods. I've tried. Maybe it was my delivery that didn't work properly. Let us know in the chat. Make a comment. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Tell us, do you think that animal crackers and foreplay are beneficial to your love life? Do you think that is that what you're missing? Snacks?
Yeah, I don't know. He even says down under, which, you know, yeah. Anyway,
I don't mind his Australian accent.
So moving on from that, you know, they all get in trouble, and then we move right into the day that they go out for the launch. It's the launch. We get another big president speech, and they're all in Florida now, because that's where they're launching from. The world's in a panic, but not to fear. The oil drillers are here to the rescue.
They're going to go and blow up a big rock in space.
I do like the discussion between Harry and Grace. It's a nice discussion. It's kind of it's severing every like argument they ever had, because they, the movie, the writers do such a good job of little things like this in this movie, where it's like, there's a chance I never see you again. Yes, you're a hero. You should be bulletproof, and the movie proves that. It's like, but they have a discussion about like, I'm sorry about everything I ever did that you didn't like, and she tells him like, hey man, you know what? You weren't perfect, but I love my life, and a lot of it has to do with you. And it's like, those are the things I would say to somebody that I'm not sure I would ever see again. So it's a nice little moment.
It's as cheesy as that sounds, but that should also, and I think it's the power of film and cinema, and I think that that's something that you should just, if you're aware of it, if you think that the person that you are speaking to, you care enough that if they were to launch themselves into a rock in space, you want to tell them something, I think you should do that right now.
Yeah, exactly.
Don't wait for the rock in space.
And the sound editor, who, rarely get a lot of credit, like, that's another great thing about this film, is like, it really knows when to bring back up that Trevor Rabin score.
Yes.
And I mean, look at these and the shots, the shot selection, the editing, the sound design, the acting, the writing, like, people could sit here and go, God, they're gushing over Armageddon, but rewatch it, folks, in the chat.
It's exciting.
It's really well put together, for how fast paced and manic it can feel. It covers all bases really well as far as the story and characters go, and you already like these people, you already like them, and they haven't even gone into space yet.
And it's fun as an audience member watching them learn how to do, or learning about them going through something that it's like, what? I don't know. It looks like it would be cool to be in a spacesuit in a pool, knowing that this is okay. No, I have to figure, this isn't a fun and game. I have to figure out how to work this and make sure that everything is so that I can go and be an actual astronaut to blow something up in space. Like, there's tension. There's a ticking clock throughout this movie.
And all these actors are so good, because this scene where they're geared up and they're leaving the doors and walking to the shuttle, you can see the redness in their face, like how nervous. Oh, here it is.
Okay, we got to do it.
Oh, my bags are packed. I'm ready to go. The fucking Zoom delay just makes it impossible to sing.
Fair enough. Good answer.
So yeah, everyone's there. Press, the military, government, civilians, teachers, students.
The Beeve.
Look at these people, little radio. Oh my God.
Everybody on the entire earth is now rooting.
Dude, that scene with the president talking and showing people around the world, it is strong. It's very strong. Like, it makes you feel like, God, if this was real, this is how everyone would be glued to this situation.
Well, and also, like, this movie was made in a pre 9/11 world. This was a certain level of global unity movie as well. Like, this, I don't know. I think the only thing that is offensive in this movie that could be taken as a hissy fit from the modern age, aside from the animal crackers, would be the driving golf balls into Greenpeace boat.
Well, I love it that he goes, do you know how much diesel fuel that thing pumps out an hour? Like, he basically just tells them, you being here is hurting the environment.
Right. So, and that, I don't know, maybe that'll, stink your willy. I think that this is a sort of a time capsule to the 90s, when the world was somewhat at peace, or at least I believed that was true.
Agree. It was I agree with you. You said it better, but I will say a better time. Better time in this movie right here, when they're getting strapped down. This movie is the first movie that really lets us get a good look at Steve Buscemi's teeth. And his teeth are all what you thought they were. There's lots of rows of teeth behind teeth, teeth on top of teeth. And you get to see that quite a bit in this movie. And he was cool with that, apparently, which is great.
It's kind of characteristic. It's one of those things.
Yeah, no, he plays to his strengths. He knows what he looks like. He used it to his advantage and became a mega star because of it. So this launch sequence is great.
First time that you get to launch 2 shuttles at the same time.
2 chicks at the same time.
The
Apparently, the
independence and
freedom.
the freedom and the independence. Yeah. Good call.
Apparently, this is a movie that they show to NASA management, and one of the tests is name how many incorrect things there are in this movie.
There's no way to spot them all.
And the highest score that has been pointed out and verified is 168.
Oh, I figured there'd be more, but
I don't know. How many minutes is this movie?
now that they're in outer space, a lot of close-ups, everything's dark. I think it looks pretty seamless for the
I'm
most
curious about the model work on the shuttles in this, actually.
I think it's actually more model composites than it is CGI, because CGI at this time would not look this good.
Right.
Optical special effects instead of in-camera stuff, like, but it's fucking great. I mean, and now we meet Lev, played by, was it Peter Stormare?
Peter Stormare, as
Peter
far as
Stormare.
I know.
I fucking love him in everything he's ever done. No matter how menacing he is or funny he is, he's a chameleon. He's like a Philip Seymour Hoffman. He can play fucking anything, but he's got that thick accent. So
he makes me want to rewatch Constantine.
Yeah, he was good in that. Yeah. And this is his second time opposite Steve Buscemi, because they were both in Fargo.
Oh yes.
Yeah, so they've got a little history, but this is the one scene, I think, and I didn't put it in our notes, but I think I wrote meeting with Lev and the really weird and convenient scene on the Russian gas station.
You did put that in the notes. What are you referring to?
I just think it's like everything that happens in the scene is just to have an action scene, because there hasn't been action in a while. What would change about this movie if the space station didn't blow up? I guess Lev joining the crew, but you could just say like, hey, I need to go with you guys because it sucks in here. I don't know. Like the whole space station blowing up like 5 minutes after they get there is a little goofy. And this is a well done scene. I'm not saying it's not. It's just, if you took this,
them having gravity is kind of fucking weird.
If you took this action sequence out of this thing blowing up, what would change about the movie?
This is to make it so that there is something that happens between Earth and the moon.
That's what I mean. It's just an action sequence. Yeah.
But I also think that if you didn't have this action sequence here, because you forgive the fact that they immediately get to the moon, even though it would have taken, like, if they had done nothing, then it just would have been them traveling to the moon. Because there's nothing happening in between unless you stop off at the space station where you put the action sequence. So is it there because we need an action sequence here? The answer is yes.
So I'm not wrong, but you are 100% right. And I do
agreed.
And I do think it's a good action set piece.
Mm-hmm.
I like the set. I like the way it looks, but this scene right here in particular, where he's like, AJ, press this and press this, but if this happens, pull the lever. And it's like, of course that happens.
It's such a trope when people
but it's a good scene. It's a great scene.
I'm just saying, like, you've noticed it.
It's obligatory.
You've noticed it in other movies and other TV shows, in other forms of where it's like, do this, and then you give a long, complicated list. And it's like, I would never remember that. And I'm watching this and I don't have to participate, but I would never remember your code words.
I love it when Lev is like, we use it to build, the bombs that go to New York and Washington, us Russians, and the way they all look at each other, like, whoa, it's like, well, of course. I mean, we got stuff aimed at them. They're going to have stuff aimed at us.
No one's paying attention to
what's happening. Love the camera work of this shot. It's almost like Michael Bay wanted to get out an aliens vibe out of his system that he never got to shoot before, because he's core. I like the way the space station looks inside and out. Again, just, it's amazing how much practical stuff is happening and how they built this whole thing. I just had that one little criticism that it's like, it kind of is just an action scene for that purpose. But you brought me around. There is nothing in between, so they got to do something, right?
It is more seeing the hardships that are thrown at these characters that we've learned to love after the first hour, and meeting Lev. He's a weird, laid back Russian. Great character. But like, I think that gaining Lev through this trauma makes us trust Lev. And we do get into sort of, infighting later, and Lev is never part of that.
No.
But I think that this is them going through the hardships and also being able to say no man is left behind. They rescue Lev and AJ, even though, as you mentioned earlier, Truman.
This is his first sign of impatience where he's like, we got to go. Just leave AJ behind,
Yeah.
And the escape scene is really exciting, like where they have to go through a place that's so freezing that you could die if you're in there more than like a few seconds. So like it's great. It's a good, and look at, there's your alien scene. Like there's lots of shit in that has like alien vibe to it, like the way it's shot.
I like to play this game and I failed. I'm a heavy smoker. They say hold your breath while we're going through the cold area.
Yeah.
If you breathe, you will freeze your lungs. And so I tried to hold my breath while they went through, and I couldn't do it.
Imagine doing it while under that amount of pressure and having to physically be moving that fast.
Then I would die.
No, because when your life is on the line, you do things that you normally couldn't do.
You know better than I.
No, you know yourself. There's no way that you can't will yourself to do something if it's in your control to stay alive. If it's out of your control, there's nothing you can do. The little details when they do hit the ground, that like the ice crackles off of their bodies because of how cold it is. Like, hey, there's Noonan, another sighting of Noonan, who I don't think has any more dialogue in this movie before he dies.
Yeah, I think he dies after this.
They made it out. It's a cool explosion, just in the nick of time. But now they got to do the insane slingshots around the moon, which is in theory really cool. Okay, so what do you think about the way when you see those glimpses of the entire asteroid, the design of it, which I'm not sure how they created it, what they created it on, right? The way it looks when you see, and there's that little piece of theme music that's like, like right here, like when you see it coming, the impending doom, like what do you think about the way they designed it? I think it looks scary and menacing. It almost looks like fucking Galactus from
the Fantastic Four movie.
Yeah.
I agree.
Terrifying.
It does turn into a monster with the gases that are escaping from it. It looks like
it even has a growl, sort of.
Well, and I was going to say is that a lot of the sounds that are associated with it, they sound like animal snarls or growls, like low timbre, animal aggression. And then when it does get blown up, there's like that sort of scream that you get from the xenomorph in Alien, that sort of painful screech.
Yeah.
And so, there is an anthropomorphization of the asteroid through the sound design.
So Liv Tyler obviously is freaking out because and here's where here's a little bit of trivia. I'm gonna ask you, Scotty, which one goes down, the Freedom or the Independence?
Oh, I got a 50-50.
I know it.
The Freedom goes down.
No, the Independence goes down. Because Bruce Willis goes, what is that? Is that the Independence? Because the Independence is like spinning out of control.
I thought when they were driving, when AJ was driving the Armadillo later, it had the Freedom on it.
No. Well, whether it does or not, it's the Independence that goes down because that's what. Remember, Independence is a dead stick. They're not going to make it. Right. You just got to remember the lines of dialogue and then you know which one went down. So the Independence is filled with AJ, Bear, Noonan, and Oscar. And I hate this part because losing Noonan, we expected. He's in this movie to die. I did not expect the double whammy of also losing Oscar. So Oscar never gets to participate in any of the stuff. He's a geologist and he never gets to use his skill set. I mean, I get it though, because it really ups the stakes because you like him. For people watching, Oscar is Owen Wilson. Likable character, decent amount of screen time, really. And now he's just dead. And he doesn't, they give him like 2 seconds to mourn him because, well, obviously you can't mourn people in the middle of this shitstorm that they're in.
You got to wait till later to mourn.
Yeah, but I was bummed that he died, but it does really go like, oh man, this movie's not fucking around. This movie is not fucking around. Like they're killing people. And they don't stop
Well,
there either,
and they don't stop there either. And I think that it does add weight. And it's part of the reason why they launched 2 shuttles in the first place, is because they were doubling up on their possibilities. Even though the Independence goes down, salvaged by AJ, Bear, and Lev.
They get the armadillo out of there that apparently has machine guns on it that we didn't know about. Because why not have machine guns on it?
Well, and you know what? It's hilarious when they drive the armadillo 25 miles over the asteroid, and it's like completely flat roads.
Yeah. Well, especially how they oh man, we'll get into the jumping of the ravine.
Like, that's so weird. I don't know why. Like, you want to talk about manufactured set pieces?
Yeah. That's
worse than the space station.
That is way worse than the space, because that did not need to exist at all.
Although it's the same argument. It's like, well, we could just watch them drive there.
But the funny thing is, though, Scotty, is as pointless as that scene is, it is a payoff to a line earlier in the film from Watts, who talked about if I kicked you in the balls, you would just fly. So it does have.
Oh, there's a lot of setup and payoff in this movie.
Yeah, it's
from beginning to end.
Yeah, it's a payoff of something earlier. It's just a scene that's like, who fucking cares? They really amp up the Trevor Rabin score in this when the Independence goes down. They use those close-ups of fucking Billy Bob's Truman, like his face just going down, like we're fucked. This is over. And it kind of makes sense. If you're sending 2, like, one probably won't make it. What are the odds that they both land where they're supposed to land? And the Freedom doesn't land where it's supposed to land either, doesn't it? 26 miles, it overshot its landing.
Yes,
because they had no idea what it was going to look like. How do you land on this?
It is, when you see the crash scene and you like, do you believe that this vehicle can lift off again?
Yeah, I just thought of that right.
I think that ship is fucked.
That's a great point. Like, they're just hit. It depends on how heavy and hard some of those spikes are, like, matter wise. Like, how are those things just like icicles that break off? Or are they really fucking hard?
They are rock. They're laser sharp rock.
Yeah, you're right. And it doesn't have any problems. It has one problem, like, mechanically taken off, but not like exterior. There's no holes in it or anything.
Well, it does draw a question of the suspension of disbelief. And quite frankly, I have been invested in this, and it does. Like, I will allow the fact that maybe this isn't a documentary.
Yes, maybe this is a Jerry Bruckheimer produced Michael Bay movie about oil drillers who go up to an asteroid to blow it up. This is where it shifts and it goes into all that blue. This movie's blue for the rest of the movie. It looks like the abyss for the rest of the movie.
Yes.
Again, man, this movie has better acting than it deserves to have. Like, it's just got good acting. Yeah, everyone's good.
Well, again, I think it's a product of when it was made. Michael Bay having come off of music videos, yes?
Yeah, and 2 films, yeah.
And 2 films, but he knew, like, in terms of casting, movement, excitement, like, he knew how to make a blockbuster. And if you wanted to make a blockbuster, I think that he had pop relevance in advertising and filmmaking. Yeah. And so if you want to combine those two, you know what you're going to get? Butts in seats.
Well, he cut his teeth with action sequences in Bad Boys, because I think other than the action scenes in that movie's pretty
hell of a out of the gate.
Yeah, I think it's pretty substanceless, like, with the exception of the action scenes. I don't think it's very funny. I don't think the dialogue between 2 really charismatic, funny guys is very good.
But it's got Téa Leoni.
No, but he was learning how to, like I say, cut his teeth with his action scenes. And then The Rock is kind of like an action masterpiece. His second movie, he really learned how to deal with characters and make characters interesting. Even the villains, even Ed Harris, one of the greatest kind of underrated villains, who's kind of not a villain, but is a villain. Like, now I can do characters. Now I can do action. Now they want me to do this huge spectacle movie, and I can handle it,
But I think that one of the things that Michael Bay isn't given credit for is him directing his actors. Yeah.
They're on The Rock, and
Not Alcatraz, but
No,
on
not
the
Alcatraz,
asteroid.
sorry. But Rockham, Steve Buscemi just says like this shit is like fucking iron. Like you're not gonna be able to just drill through this shit. You haven't been able to get a sample of it, so how would you know how strong it is? They wouldn't know how hard this material was until they got on it, right?
Right. Well, they do announce like Buscemi says, like Rockhound says that they selected a certain grid that they could land on because the thermal imaging said that it was a softer crust.
Oh, that's right. Because
but where they landed on, it was going to be on like a steel plate.
You're right. I'm sorry. I stand.
No, it's fine.
They the thermal imaging.
You know, if you pay attention to the
no, you're right.
it all makes sense.
I forgot that they do kind of discuss the thermal imaging and the places that they want to land on are softer.
They explain that the spacesuits make it so that they don't bounce around on the asteroid surface.
Well, they don't float. Yeah, they have
right
magnetic.
But they later on they do throw pipes on the ground and they just react like it's normal gravity because that's where they were making the movie. But it negates anything that you said earlier about the suits giving you gravity.
Well, I love how when they lower AJ down into the tunnel too, it's like, why is he going down? But I know what you mean. There's a lot of cases in this movie where the suits, they establish these rules of the suits, but then they don't really follow those.
Well, they do a big, like I say that there are setups and payoffs, but also there are setups and like, wait, you just contradicted yourself.
It's exciting. And now the movie is just like in full gear. There is no breathing times left. We have an hour left in this movie and it never stops moving forward. And I love it for that because that's what a blockbuster should be, especially one where there's a ticking clock and there's guys on an asteroid. And even though it's silly, like how they're showing them kind of drill, and that's probably not how any of this stuff really works. And they blow a tranny. Well, that sounded bad. They blow.
No, I blew a tranny once. It was on a rock.
Back in 1998, you could say blow a tranny, and it meant.
I can say blow a tranny right now because we're talking about Armageddon, and we're talking about drilling into a rock in space. I blew a tranny.
So they blew a transmission in the drill, and now you get the secondary protocol scene where you have Keith David and William Fichtner as your quote unquote villains that are trying to dismantle the progress or lack thereof that Harry and company have made. They've only drilled 57 fucking feet.
Yeah. But also, I have a question. If you are Willie, there is a moment where it's like, you know what, if we can't drill it, we should just blow up the bomb that we have and see what happens.
Yeah, but they already established that there's no way that would work, and it makes sense why it wouldn't work. It's kind of common sense. Like if you place something on top of something, it's just gonna blow up the top of something,
which is exactly what Harry says.
But the fact that they know that if they blow it up from the middle, that all those pieces still won't just land on Earth, just in different pieces. But
they have the zero barrier.
Pieces gonna miss the Earth by 57 miles. Like, wow, how convenient.
It was like 408 miles.
But I love the look of the ship too, how they have like the little elevator that goes up and down, the depressurizing elevator or whatever, like, and they can just take their helmets off in this fucking thing like nothing, because you can't have these guys in the helmets the entire final act of the movie,
Well, but I believe that because like if I see astronauts in the space station, I see them in just like pants and a t-shirt.
Yeah, exactly. It's just how quickly these guys kind of come up in the elevator, and then they're I will make 700 feet. I swear to God, I will. However many feet it is.
Yeah,
so much goddamn blue in this scene. It's just blue.
We
will not take your drill time card. I love the drill time card. It's like, wow, they really did have this bullshit contingency plan. I mean, you got to have one. I get it, but not a very good one.
Like shit breaks down. And I like how it doesn't just break down on the asteroid, but it's starting to break down in NASA.
The system's breaking down. Yeah.
Yeah. Like,
I've been ordered to overwrite the system. Yeah. He picks up the red phone.
I love the red phone.
All right, Commissioner.
And yeah.
That's my father up there. I'd see another little good. Liv Tyler was still new to acting in this movie, but she was still good. She wasn't great. She was probably the weakest link, but she was still good. I love this pair of vice grips that this giant
Yeah.
pair of
Oh
vice
my
grips,
God.
which I think were used to kind of turn or to put the new drill bit on. Because I think they show them later when they're putting the drill bits on. But he gets Captain America, William Fichtner, because they do call him Captain America in this movie a couple of times.
Yes.
He gets his head, he gets it, he puts these vice grips around his neck, which is a cool scene, and it looks like it hurts really bad. William Fichtner is selling it how he can't breathe and that he could probably just move one more inch and it would just break his neck. But I get why tensions are high. Bruce Willis is like, you know what? You got to give me more time. Oh, I forgot.
Well,
why do you have a gun in space? I love that line.
Yeah. Well, and Chick is so good during this. Like, whenever he shows up, he's not like we talk about Nunez and how he fades to the background. Chick does not. And I really appreciate his continued presence.
Yeah.
He is my audience surrogate.
He's the right-hand man to Harry, so he's never going to disappear. Like Rock M disappears for a while, and then he becomes completely irrelevant to the story because he gets space dementia, which is funny. But I almost would have wished like Steve Buscemi had a heroic moment instead of just becoming comic relief in the third act. But, you know, it is whatever. He just assumes they're all going to die. There's cool like landscape shots of the asteroid, like, and I don't really know.
Yeah.
I don't know if these are models or they might even be like matte paintings. I don't even know.
I
small
think
model, maybe.
Maybe a small, maybe all
both.
of the above.
Yeah, probably both. Yeah, but it's really cool looking, and it makes it look so big. Like you're lost on this thing, and it could be the size of a state because they say it's the size of Texas. So
there is one shot where it goes from the exterior of the asteroid to the gas cloud, through the gas cloud, over the terrain, and showing the monstrosity that is. And then it goes over a hill and it drops in on the set that they're obviously filming upon, and it is seamless. And that was the moment when I was thinking, and I was like, I had to ask myself, was that CGI? How did they do that?
It's so
it's
cool.
amazing. And it was, again, it's one of the reasons why I love this movie, and I will fillet it.
And it geographically puts you
where
they are as on the asteroid. It shows you where they are. Like they're up to the front of it, sort of.
And it's something that Michael Bay doesn't do all the time, which is let you know where you are in the action.
Well, he doesn't do that anymore. He used to. Like, yeah,
he used to. When
the
he was
Rock, you always knew where everyone was, and
yeah,
that was a great example of like knowing where people were on Alcatraz as opposed to the other people. But yeah, nowadays you don't know what the fuck's happening. It's visual vomit.
I'll go
now
we
get the jumping of the ravine. Probably the goofiest scene in the movie.
Manufactured like this is the point in the when you're in the theater and you're like, oh man, I have to pee.
What if this didn't work? They would just float off into space and die.
Well, no, but like honestly, if you were to take the reality of the situation, it didn't work. They crash into two rock formations. This vehicle is destroyed.
And again, that's the armadillo that saves the day when it should have been completely destroyed.
Yep. There's no way this thing made it through that shit. But then Lev climbs out and fixes the thrusters or something. Like, it's just, at this point, it's noise and volume and manufactured tension, which I enjoy.
Oh, dude, now that you said the word volume, if this movie was made today, where do you think it would be made? In the volume.
Oh, my God. So much green screen.
In the volume. To me, this movie, like, okay, you know, Bruce Willis, you know, I love him. I hate what he's going through. It sucks. But I know he's been a pain in the ass to work with in the past. When he likes you, he's supposedly the coolest guy ever. But when he doesn't, he's a real royal pain in the ass. But everyone else in this movie looks like they're having a blast. It just looks like a fun movie to shoot. And maybe it was rigorous. Maybe it was very hard. But like, I bet you Ben Affleck being about, I don't know, 24, 25 when this movie came out, he was probably fucking having so much fun making this movie. My first action movie. And it's like, oh my God, he was probably just fucking pinching himself making this movie.
And I brought up Bruce earlier and in his possible disagreements with Michael Bay, but he does come off as a caring, stern father figure. and that's what is called for in the film.
Oh yeah, it doesn't. If that's the case, which it probably is, it didn't affect his performance.
No, I thought like
Like
I really
Roy Scheider in Jaws 2, from what I hear, he just fucking did not want to be there, and he didn't talk to anyone on set. But when action hit, he did his job, and you would never know that guy hated being on set for that movie.
a lot of people like I think that's something. I talked to a guy who's like, oh well, they took the money, they're endorsing this. And it's like actors are, they're doing a job. I'm pretty sure everybody who has any job that you think would be amazing to have wants to call in sick that day.
In this movie, he gets to be a different character, and I think he embraced being the different character. If he didn't like Michael Bay's direction, because I don't think he did another Michael Bay movie.
No, he said he wouldn't do that.
Yeah,
but
I don't think he ever did. Yeah.
But I was admiring Bruce Willis's acting because I was sort of holding him along the same lines as John McClane. And it's like, no, different guy. Like
Totally
this is what
different guy.
acting is.
Completely different guy. Yeah, yeah.
I don't know if I'm being rose-colored glasses based on what's going on with Bruce Willis now, but when Bruce Willis is awake, I love him.
Oh, okay. So we're at the
What do we
point
got?
now where Max is I'm cooking. Like they're getting closer to their drop or to their drill depth.
Yes.
But but the tranny can't take it, and Max explodes in a really, really funny, like that scene in the slow motion. Like it just made me laugh, like because there's a lot of stuff in this movie that is genuinely sad and makes you feel. But the Max death is immediately followed up, almost like that was a punishment for them not fixing things, with this little piece of asteroid that comes into France.
Yeah.
This is where you get, how cool is this shot? Oh,
amazing.
Where you just see that asteroid hit France, and you see that gargoyle, and the camera focuses, rack focuses on that gargoyle.
Well, and then they start showing the absolute civil unrest that's going on, and
that
the crater. Crater that is Paris.
When I say this movie is violent, I don't mean visually violent. It's just there's millions of dead people in this movie.
Yeah, like you know how people get upset about the end of Man of Steel? Multiply that by 100.
Yeah, I mean, that just didn't belong in a Superman movie. This is a disaster movie, so it makes sense.
So was that Superman movie.
Yeah, it was. It shouldn't have been, but it was, yeah. So now you get the sad music. It's like it actually is that song. It's a rendition of that song, but score, But yeah, this is where they're like, all hope is lost. Max is dead. The tranny is blown. The armadillo's blown. They're not even close yet. And then all of a sudden they hear on your left. So AJ shows up, and Grace starts slipping in her own puddle. It happens. Your boyfriend's back. I'm sure that guy would take time to tell that chick that.
I really liked that. I liked that. I
like it
that
too.
was adorable.
Wow, look at that zoom in. Damn glad to see you, boy. That's 6 words. I like it. See, they brought that back too. A little plant and payoff with the word count thing.
Well, and also part of the reason why Harry Stamper brings these people into space with him is because they're the best. I work with the best. That's how I get the best done.
Well, and being AJ the way he is as a person, he's glad Max is dead because now he gets to be the hero.
Fuck
AJ.
Max.
I'm kind of torn. I want to know your opinion on the Rockham, on the decision of space dementia. Do you think the movie would have been better if he was utilizing his skills and being a part of it, still being funny? Or do you like it that he's like sidelined the whole third act of the movie, duct taped, saying weird shit because he's losing his mind in space?
You know what? I would have liked it better if he had been Mr. Pink. I wish he had been the professional. So instead of I think that
Mr. Pink is my favorite character in Pulp Fiction, by the way.
You keep Owen Wilson alive, even though we've known Rockhound as being a perv this whole movie. When he is actually put in a stressful situation, he turns out to be like the Spock.
Yeah, that's what I wanted because they built him up. He's one of the characters that doesn't get that payoff. Like he's talked about,
even at the end of the movie,
smartest man in the room, and he doesn't get the moment.
Yeah. yes, Buscemi was done dirty.
They finally dug the hole, but now they're like, okay, well, I guess now there's a pipe stuck. Of course, of course there is. Of course, there's a pipe stuck. Oh wow, I'm wrong. He doesn't pull himself down. Somehow he's just lowered down in outer space. And he's
no. There is some gravity on it on the asteroid.
But yeah, okay, fine. But for some reason I thought he was pulling himself down when I watched it the other day. But no, he's just being lowered. But
I'm being a jerk. I'm being a jerk. No, you're right. He shouldn't be lowered so easily.
But this is a good scene though, because it's like, fuck, there's another obstacle. And I like Ben Affleck's like response to it when he's like, really? Great. Like, I gotta get down there, great. Because like they just think it's over now. They think just put the bomb down there and we're good. And he's like, oh fuck, there's another fucking thing I gotta do. That would be my reaction completely. Like, oh fuck.
But that's again, like, this is very tense. Everything, like, this is very tense if you haven't seen it in a while. Welcome to the asteroid. But like, this is people doing their jobs. They don't want to do their jobs. They want to call in sick.
Right.
And so they're doing them. And so I really appreciate it. It's like all of this explosion. This isn't the asteroid being angry. This isn't Jaws the Revenge. This is just a natural, they said unexpected eruptions. That's a thing that'll happen.
No, and Scotty, it's trying to fight them off. You're wrong.
No, that you're a fucking
It wants to live. It wants to live. Oh, this is where Gruber dies. Yeah. Gruber's dead.
Yeah, we lost Gruber. Oh, Gruber. Poor Gruber.
Gruber was a team player. He was
I didn't really get a sense. Did he have any lines? I never heard him speak.
He had a couple lines. Earlier, but not much.
Oh, fuck him. Actually, you know what? I'm sorry for saying fuck Gruber. Thank you, Gruber, for your service.
Yeah, thank you for your service, Gruber. You died to save the world. Sorry you didn't.
I barely knew you.
So anyway, the remote trigger is dead because of course it is. So now it's time
manufactured tension. That's what this movie should be
how did I write this? The rock is gonna blow. Let's see who's gonna stay up here and dance, which is basically the line that Bear gives to make it feel. Again, this movie has a way of making something very, very dark feel kind of fun. We're gonna stay up here and dance. And so they gotta draw. They're not straws, they're like wires, but they're playing draw straws.
They're pulling lots.
My first reaction would be like, send Steve Buscemi because he doesn't want to live anyway, but who would trust him to actually do what needs to be done?
Yeah. Oh, totes.
So of course, AJ is like, oh fuck, I'm young and I have a whole life to lead, but I guess I'll do it. Nudge, nudge to Harry.
And also, when you watch this, because like I've seen this before, and spoilers, Harry stays behind.
Yes, he does.
During the scene that AJ is like, okay, I guess I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna save the reactions from Harry are like, no, you're not. I have a plan. I'm going to stop you, and I know exactly what I'm doing. And any idiot in the room would be able to see that Harry is going. Like, as soon as Harry says, I'll take him down, everyone there should be like, oh, shit, he's going to fuck AJ up. And he's going to go and make sure that he takes care of the ball.
No, I think Chick even kind of looks at him like he's saying goodbye. He knows. Yeah. Knows what he's, because he knows him better than any of those guys do.
But Chick puts up the most fight. Chick is like, I'm not going to draw
against you, Harry.
That's why Chick rules.
Yeah, I love
Chick. Chick is like in my top 5 best friends of all time in movie history.
He is a good guy,
except for his gambling problem.
Yeah. So anyway, like Ben Affleck thinks he's going to be the hero, but he really doesn't want to die because he's young. So Bruce Willis kicks him back into the elevator, and you get some dialogue that's in another movie you take more seriously because it's really devastating and heartbreaking. But in this movie, you could laugh it off. I actually found it quite compelling, where he's just like, I always thought of you as a son. It's like, I guess the movie doesn't tell you that, but it shows you that, and that's a good way to do it, like, because they kind of have this dialogue where they don't like each other, but that's not really the case.
But they also set it up earlier in the film when AJ does say, like, I want you to say these 5 words, and he trails off into as many words as he wants. And says, and I love you.
But do you think that he's saying I love you because he's saying thank you for doing this instead of me? Harry, I love you. He's saying, Harry, thank you. I was going to do it, but thank you that you are.
I don't think so.
I wasn't saying that was my statement. I was just asking the question. It's a nice extra line of dialogue thrown in there, unless that was improvised by Affleck, because that's kind of the reaction you would have, like, oh my God, fuck. Like, now I'm never going to see you again. What's the quickest thing I could say before I go up this elevator? Harry, I love you. I love you. Goodbye.
Which is better than thank you for not making me die.
Yeah, I know. I was making kind of.
No, it's a good thing. It's a good thing. It's a good observation.
It was written all over AJ's face that he did not want to draw that short wire, but he did.
It's also Harry giving a gift back to his daughter, like giving her back her love.
Yes,
he's like Harry sacrifices. Yeah, he's given her a life, and if that's cheesy and romantic, then so it is.
And I don't know how old Harry Stamper was supposed to be in this movie, but Bruce Willis was 39. And there's a line in this movie where he said, I've been drilling holes in the earth for 30 years. So I guess he's been oil drilling since the age of 9.
Why do I think he's 50 in this movie?
Yeah, well, they build the narrative that he's kind of older, but he was 39 as an actor when he did this movie. I have a feeling he's supposed to be playing maybe a 45-year-old or something, in which case he'd be 14 and drilling holes in the earth. So there's a lot going on. They're trying to get the freedom to run again. And it all comes to a screeching halt so that Bruce Willis could talk to Grace, so that Harry could talk to Grace. What do you think about that scene? That's the pivotal. That's the entire moment of the music video. By the way, it all focuses on Liv Tyler's, seeing him holding the screens and putting the hand across the screen. But what do you think about that scene? Do you think it's too much?
As I watch it and I realize that he's duped AJ back into the elevator, he's gone, and then he's gone into the armadillo, and then he has the message with Grace, and then he gets back into his helmet and then gets out of the armadillo to do the bomb blow up. I think that is a horrible priority list. Like, I understand wanting to say goodbye to your daughter,
but he spends a lot of time.
He does. There's a lot of time there, and we're talking about saving the earth. So your message to your daughter, while I understand, is it's narratively impactful. The logic of the situation, you're testing it. Do I enjoy that emotional interaction? Absolutely. I think that is really, really great. I think that there is a dynamic. I don't know what their ages were. Bruce Willis as Liv Tyler's father. I think that it's a believable relationship, and I appreciated when she sort of was mournful.
I like how you put it. I think you actually put it into the perfect perspective of, like, it's emotionally impactful for the movie, but it doesn't logically make sense considering the time issue. So
no, that's
the perfect way to put it. It's a perfect way to put it.
And that's the reason, and again, when you talk about blockbusters, when you talk about movies that are, fan favorites, things that made a lot of money, Armageddon did, they make you feel things. They are a spectacle that you could not see on a daily basis. Yeah. It's not something you want to see on your TV. And it arguably, when you step into a theater and you see Armageddon, this is an orchestra of cinema. It makes you feel shit.
It really does. So then our surviving heroes, we have Chick, we have Bear, we have William Fichtner's Captain America, we have Rockhound.
Willie.
And that ending scene is great. Yes. Obviously, everybody gets their. I mean, unfortunately, I hate the scene where the last time you see Bear doesn't get a conclusion, but I guess he was kind of a minor character. Bear, well, he says, Harry, you the man, which is one of the best scenes in the movie.
You, Harry, you the man.
Yeah.
But when they all land, like, Rockham goes off with that hooker or whatever, or the stripper or whatever she was. And then obviously you see Chick finally gets to reunite with his kid and his ex-wife.
With April O'Neil, yeah.
Yeah, and then it's April O'Neil. And then AJ obviously gets to reunite with Grace and say that thing to Truman and give him the patch.
That broke my heart. That every time,
because Billy Bob is so good in this movie. He's so good. Billy Bob's the anchor of the whole movie. You know, he really is. He's on the ground, but he's just like kind of But so
I want to see more movies where Will Patton and Billy Bob Thornton are nice people.
So last time you see Bear, he's blurred out in the background when AJ is running to Grace. And he never gets a moment because you never get introduced. Like, who is he going to talk to? But I think it would have been kind of interesting if the president was there and said, like, hey, we got a room for you at the White House or something. That might have been a little too cheesy.
But then again, let's not forget the closing credit.
Well, the closing credits, did you notice that Noonan is not in those photos? I think he's there, but when it zooms in and stops on the pictures, it's just Harry, Oscar, and Max. And Noonan is not in when the frame finally stops. Noonan's not in that shot. So, guys, that was our audio commentary of the 25th anniversary of Armageddon.
What else you got?
No, nothing. I mean, we just fucking watched the whole movie.
Get off my lawn.
I love the movie. I love that time in film history when blockbusters were just exciting and they concentrated on first developing characters so that when you follow those characters, that's what makes you care about what's happening. You can't just make San Andreas of California like falling off the earth because of an earthquake if you don't like The Rock in that movie. You know, you have to spend time in this movie. It really sacrifices a large portion of its first and second act of no action by establishing the situation, showing us that these characters that we like are learning things in order to do the thing that when we get there is so exciting and so fulfilling in the end.
It tells a human story with an outlandish action science fiction premise, but you get to know all of these characters and you like all of these characters. And when they die, you're upset. And when they succeed, you're so happy. And there's a lot of Aerosmith.
Happy 25th anniversary, Armageddon. We love you very much. Well, follow Scotty on the Fantasmagorium show. Link below. Keep watching us here at Cinema Gulp. Until then, everybody, thanks for watching. We drink your cinema.
I drink it up!
Leaving on a jet plane. I don't know when I'll be back again.
Leaving on a jet plane. I don't